Welcome back to the RobboZini channel. This clip you're about to see is from the Promotion Party podcast that features Jacob, who's producer from Nought To 90. If you'd like to see the full podcast, then you can find that on my YouTube channel, and I will be leaving a link for it in the description down below. Now, going on the kind of rest of the squad, what players come the end of the season do you see as Premier League quality as well? Because I do feel there's a threat in a way of to say that we might come down is that there's a lot of Championship level players in there, and that being it at the highest.
Definitely. I think we've got to avoid being complacent and sentimental, really. I feel like there are some players that have helped us a lot this season, but just aren't good enough for the Premier League. So, I mean, if you look for our squad, you've got Krul. I think he's definitely Premier League quality. I think he can easily do a job for probably top 10 club, really. I think getting him was amazing. If we go left backs, I think Giannoulis is a solid player, but I think only time will tell, really, if he will be, he'll reach his peak level in the Prem, because I'm not fully convinced at the moment.
Yeah.
You've got the centre backs of, let's say, Gibson and Hanley. I think Gibson, obviously, he's up there. He's definitely Premier League standard. He was, he's at Burnley in the Premier League. But I don't know if this is controversial, but I feel like I really rate Hanley in the Championship, but I'm just not sure if that fully converts to the Prem, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I fully get you there, because I was saying to someone at work the other day, if Newcastle stay up next season and they have St. Maximin, a player like St. Maximin's going to do rings around Hadley, surely.
Yeah, I think it suits you when you're in the Championship and you're the ones attacking all the time. But when you've got to defend all the time, then it's definitely not as easy for him to shine. And yeah, I just don't know.
No, it's good to think of. And we need the club itself need to think about this, But there was a player like Godfrey suited it, and he does suit it now, doesn't he? That's why Everton re-signed him, to be fully switched on 90 minutes, and to also know that in that 90 minutes, as you mentioned, it won't be attack. A lot of time it will be a defend, especially against the top 6 clubs.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I hope they're really looking at that, to be honest, because it's just a tough one. But I like Omobamidele. I think he's looked really good.
Yeah.
But you cannot go, he's ready for the Premier League or even for the Championship after he's played 2 games or whatever in the people that are top of the league by 8 points. That is just not a fair test of a player. So I get the hype, and I'm kind of on the hype train, but I think it's really too early to tell with him.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I hope he's a bit like a Godfrey, where come out next season, because when that first home game against Newcastle, I thought Godfrey played phenomenally well. I remember there was a moment as well where, I mean, this player wasn't that great last since he joined the Premier League, but Joe Linton was running on the attack, and this is point proven as for why Hanley might just be only Championship quality. But he was on Hanley's side. Hanley couldn't keep up with him. Godfrey literally outpaced Hanley and Joe Linton, considering this wasn't his side of the defence, and then put a nice little tackle in to win the ball back. And in a way, I favour like how we've sold him. It gives us funds, and I guess he is Premier League quality. But it brings me on to this question: what players do you see in this squad who will? This is, it'll only be like a prediction really, but who will make a massive step up to the Premier League next season. As we mentioned, Cantwell did that from the 18-19 season. He came up to the 19-20 season and actually looked like a suited Premier League player. But what other players do you think could have this time round?
Yeah, well, it's a tough question, because you can't mention, the Pukki, the Wendia, because they've already, proved themselves, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we've not actually signed that many more players since we went down last year. So I'm just thinking about it. I don't know if Norwich have this optimism in Jacob, but I think that he could be the shock package if he actually gets the game time in his natural position as centre mid.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I felt there was one, when I was thinking about it, there was one that I thought, which was Kieran Dow. He hasn't proved it too much, but I think maybe he could, it's obviously like hit and miss whether he will do. We haven't really seen him too much this season. But yeah, he could be one that could surprise us, and Placheta as well. He's obviously been out of the picture completely. But if they kind of hit down with summer training, preseason training, and see that potential win him, obviously there must be a potential there. If not, the club would have never signed him. But he could then start next season and play. And if anything goes by, he's fast as well, and that just suits everything about the Premier League. Like its tempo and that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about Dow and Placheta here. I think Dow, the Derby game, he looked really good, but I think his career has been filled with, a lot of loans and not reaching the level that he can. So
yeah.
Now that he's got a team like Norwich, because he's at Everton, but they didn't give him the time. He'll probably have the time to prove himself, and he might be able to, hit that form of his life. And really show himself as a player, but I'm just not sure. I can't predict that because it's just so hit or miss.
Yeah.
But I think with Placheta, in my personal opinion, I feel like he needs a loan.
Yeah.
Maybe Championship, maybe somewhere abroad. I don't know, but it just doesn't look right when he plays. And I think we spent a couple of million or like 3 million or something on him, so it's not. That's a decent amount of money to spend on a player. So, as you were saying, they must have seen something in him.
Yeah.
So, but I think Onel Hernandez, he's fast. I think he offers it more than Placheta does. So, I'd rather see Hernandez taking up place on the bench next year than Placheta, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I hope Hernandez gets more of a chance and something happens to him. I've been begging for him to score for a long while now, just because that would do him the world of good. And yeah, he's definitely still got it. I mean, when we were up last time, we lost it, but that game against Man United at home, he was probably like one of the standout players for us. And obviously scored that goal. We like completely outskilled and got through the defence and scored. But I think he can still surprise us.
I think he's a player that embodies what you want as a Norwich fan for a player playing for your team. The amount of passion that lad's got is just incredible.
Yeah.
He scored, 4-0 down against Man United, and he comes and he bangs one in, and he's going around like, he's just won the World Cup. I think that's great. I think that's exactly what you want to see from your players, to be honest. So, yeah, I'd like to see him feature a bit more next season.
Me and my guys too groovy. And we still get grungy, dreadlocks, little Uzi. Nothing but G's round here, so Gucci. Them man, they're gazy, don't live no